Hi, my name is Ansley Stewart. I'm one of the clinical librarians here at Kornhauser Health Sciences Library. And now that it's 4 o'clock, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome. This is EndNote training session. We have these monthly. Each one is basically the same. It's an intro to how to use EndNote, the citation management program. If you have a question, please, about whatever we're talking about at the time, please feel free to unmute yourself. If you have kind of more of a specialized question, I do have time at the end to answer individualized questions. So I usually try to leave about 10 minutes for that. But just before I start, could someone let me know in chat or unmute themselves if they're able to see my screen and hear me? Okay, I got a yes. So we will proceed on. So we're starting out on the library's homepage here, as I said, Kornhauser Health Sciences Library, where I work, because we're going to do EndNote in 3 parts, which is I'm going to teach you how to pull resources, references, and put them into EndNote. Then the second part is going to be how to use the EndNote program, the desktop version of it itself, as well as connect it to the online version, so that way you have backup of your EndNote libraries. And then the third part will be how to use EndNote within a Word document, so that way I can add the citations and write the bibliography for you. I do like to start off with a step 0.5 before 1 though, and show you, I'm assuming most of you reached this by going to our little EndNote training page here at the library's website, or maybe you found it through U of L today or such. So this is where we have our listings. If you ever need to find another one, that our Extreme library over on Belknap campus also offers training. We don't offer them in June and July just because we have so many orientations going on, but we'll return with a fall schedule starting in August of monthly sessions if you ever need to kind of refresh your skills. But it also brings up, because the second tab in is a guide on how to download EndNote itself. You'll go to U of L's web store here, and everything I'm about to show you the next couple minutes is all repeated in this YouTube video right here. So if you're lost, just remember to go to this tab within the services on the Kornhauser Library website. When you reach the U of L web store, you'll have to sign in through your U-Link if you're not connected to the campus. You'll go to the EndNote tab here, and you'll select EndNote 20. That's the most current version. That's the version I'm going to be showing you today. To be honest, I'm not sure why we still have EndNote X9 up, but that's the older version. Don't bother downloading that one. It's not as relevant anymore. So you'll select 20, and it'll just be like online shopping, add to cart. But of course, as a U of L member, it's free to you because the university pays for EndNote. I think if you're getting an individual subscription to EndNote, it's like $90 a year or something along those lines. But like I said, act like you're shopping online. You'll do a checkout, hit continue. And part of the reason I'm walking you through all these steps is to show that when you hit download, it's going to ask if you are using a Mac or a PC, or Windows operating system, I should say. So whichever operating system you are using, you're hoping to download the EndNote program to, make sure you click the according one, and then it'll walk you through the downloading initiation process that we've all been through. So you'll just click all the, keep clicking next until it's downloading the program to your desktop. You don't need to hit anything special, just whatever suggestions it provides you for the downloading process. All right, so that's how we download EndNote. If it's not simple like that and it's not downloading for you, you've done all those steps, you do have to speak with IT. Unfortunately, we can't help you with if the program is having trouble downloading. The libraries can't really help you with that. You're going to have to speak with U of L's IT service about it, because they're the ones that actually function with buying the program and getting the software downloaded correctly. But once you have the software downloaded correctly, the libraries are here, more than welcome, more than happy to help you learn how to use it, which is what we're about to start doing. So as I said, part 1 of this training is how do you download references into EndNote. There is a way to work within the EndNote program itself, of searching for references, and I don't teach that because it's a very clunky method. You can't really replicate the search results. So I'm going to teach you the alternative method and the method that myself and most other researchers use, which is pulling them from the various databases. So here's our list of most prominently used databases at the library. I'm going to show you how to do it through PubMed, some of the EBSCO databases, which you don't need to remember that name. You'll get it once you see it, and then Google Scholar as well. So we're going to do a generic search within PubMed. So we're going to do, let's say we're doing a paper on lung cancer. I'm just going to do a generic search for lung cancer. And let's say, hey, this top article looks really great. We're going to click on it and click and say, give it a once over, say that looks good. I'd like to save it to my EndNote library. And for the record, EndNote library is what EndNote calls its files, essentially. So when I say library moving forward, I'm not referring to the library here at the university. I'm referring to the files within EndNote, but I'll keep saying library files so you get the terminology. EndNote does have some of its own terminology about things that's a little odd. And we'll click, back to PubMed. So we found that we want to keep this article and we want to put it in our PubMed in our EndNote library. We're going to click send to up at the top here, citation manager, because EndNote is a citation management program. Click create file, and it's just going to download a file for us. When it's finished downloading that file, you'll double click it to then upload it into your EndNote program. And since I already told my computer where I want it to send those downloaded files to, it's already in my EndNote library. So I'm going to open that up. So normally it takes you right there. If you're a first-time user for EndNote, when you double-click that downloaded article file from PubMed or another database, your computer is likely going to ask you what program do you want to open it up with. So you'll have to have EndNote downloaded first, and then you can obviously tell it to open up the EndNote program with those types of files, and it should know to do that automatically from then on. So that's what I did with mine. I double-clicked the downloaded article file, the reference file, and here it is. So surgical treatment of lung cancer is the one we were just looking at with PubMed. As you can see, this is my kind of general library, my library file. So I have over, some thousands of references, but when it imports a new one, it'll just show you the one that you just imported. So if you're ever wondering where your past references were, just click on all references. They didn't disappear. They're not going to delete themselves without telling you, or they won't delete themselves at all. And even if they do get deleted, they'll just go to your trash file here. So you don't have to worry about them mysteriously disappearing unless you have deleted them or someone else has. But let's say you're completely new to EndNote. Welcome. This is kind of what a filled out EndNote library looks like. So as you can see, I have a lot of different ones, a lot of repetition as well because of various articles, because I've done a number of searches and just asked them to download from various databases. But if you're new, you will not see this. You'll just see a blank page when you open up the EndNote desktop program for the first time. And what you'll want to do is you'll go to File, just click New. If you're working out of a Mac operating system, an Apple operating system, it'll just be the EndNote up at the top here. It won't be File, it'll be EndNote, and just click that drop down and click New. There are minor differences between the Windows, the Mac version for EndNote, and I'll try and point those out as we go along. But I'm going to title this one just May EndNote Library. So that way we have a brand new library to work out of. And there we go. So same layout. Of course, this one is blank because it's brand new. So we'll have to keep filling it with references. So we're going to go back to PubMed. And just to show you again, we're going to do send to citation manager, create file. It downloads the reference file for us. We're going to double click it to then have it upload into EndNote. And ta-da, it uploaded into our new library file. So same thing. You can download multiple references at once from PubMed. You just got to click the little check boxes here. So we're just going to say these top 6 articles look great. We want to save them to our EndNote library. So we'll do the same thing, the little send to button here in PubMed. Same thing, citation manager. Click create file again, and it will still create one downloaded file, but in that one downloaded file, it'll have all 6 of the articles that we check marked. And I think you can download up to 200 or 250 articles at a time doing that method. The numbers keep increasing as they keep coming out with newer updates to EndNote. So you can also download entire search results as well, depending on the database. But that's when you get into, your more in-depth researching. If you would ever like to do kind of a one-on-one session with me for long-term in-depth researching, I am more than happy to sit down with you and talk about more of the kind of ins and outs and quirkiness of EndNote. But since we're just doing an introductory version, that's kind of all we need to know for how to download references from PubMed. As I said, I'm going to show you a few different databases. So we're going to do PsycInfo now, which is a database that's based on a lot more mental health publications. And so basically I bring this up because as I stated earlier, it's an EBSCOhost database. EBSCOhost is a publisher within the academic educational world, and you don't really need to know the name of them. That's not important. What is important is when you come on a database that has this type of layout, you'll know how to download the references from there. So you can see there's multiple databases that fall under this type of layout. You might want to use CINAHL, which stands for Cumulative Index of Nursing and Allied Health Literature, or of course you don't have to use a health science topic. It could be any of these. It could be public health. We have those related. Education. So they cover a lot of different topics. Part of the reason I bring it up because they have a lot of different databases, but they all have this similar layout. And that's important because that way it makes it easier for you to know how to download a reference from this type of layout within the this type of database that has this layout. And that way you can download it into your EndNote library. So it's kind of similar. You'll just click on the article that you wish to save within EndNote and say this one looks pretty good. But instead of saying, send to citation manager, you go over to the right-hand side here and you click export, and it'll be the first one selected. You don't need to change anything. It says, direct export into, let me see if I can increase this a little so you can see it. Direct export into RIS format, and then it gives you examples of the different programs you can download it into, other citation management programs. So you might have worked with Zotero before or Reference Manager or something. But it even says EndNote right here. So you have the right one selected. You don't have to change anything. And you'll click save. Gonna minimize this again. And it did the same thing as PubMed. It downloaded the reference file for us, and we double click it to then have it upload into our EndNote library file. And so same thing as I was stating before, it's going to show us the most recently imported reference. If we wish to see all our references, including the ones from PubMed, we have to select all references. And then one more, we're going to look at Google Scholar and how to download references from there. I always forget, scholar.google.com. I'm so used to doing like googlemaps.com/maps, but it is different for Google Scholar. All right, so Google Scholar, of course, a free resource, whether you're affiliated with the university or not. Same with PubMed. The difference is you do want to log in via off-campus access on the library's website whenever you're doing these kinds of searches. So that way the database recognizes that you are affiliated with the university, you log in through their proxy, and you are able to see the full text articles that you have access to as a U of L member. So, but first things first, we're going to go to settings, because Google Scholar is a little different. It doesn't have an automatic export or send to button. What you have to do is you have to go to settings in Google Scholar, and at the very bottom here, bibliography manager, you will select the very last circle and do the drop down and select EndNote. Again, it has options to select other citation management softwares, but we're going to select EndNote. And it says show links to import citations into EndNote, which of course is what we want. You click save, and it'll take you back to the main page. And we're going to do our generic search of lung cancer. And now we see our little link to import into EndNote. So if we didn't have that setting, and I'll show you real quick. Again, setting, what you want to select is this. What it automatically selects is they don't show any citation import links. So that's the automatic. And then you see there is no link at all to EndNote or any other citation management software. So that's why we need to do the settings. Select the very bottom setting, select EndNote. Don't just let it be the first one that it rests on, which is bibtext, but do select EndNote, click save, and there you go. There's our import into EndNote button. And so we're just gonna do the same that we've done with the other two databases, which is select into import into EndNote. It will download a reference file. We will open that downloaded reference file, and then it will import itself into EndNote. And it didn't open up the EndNote program automatically to show that it had uploaded into EndNote, but it's here. So now we have a total of 9 references from the 3 databases that we looked at. And that's pretty much the end of part 1 of our training. So now we know how to get references into EndNote. I'm actually going to show you next how to create a reference in EndNote, because there are times where you can't find something that's already populated with the metadata for you that you can just download as a reference file and automatically import. Unfortunately, not everything's that easy. By and large, you're going to find journal articles are the easiest to find and import into EndNote. Sometimes you find books, largely through things like library catalogs, but those are pretty much the only 2 you're going to find. You're not really going to find other auto-populated citation reference information. So you're going to have to create your own. You're going to select the little icons here. Unfortunately, I can't really make the EndNote program itself bigger, so I didn't realize it might be hard for you to see on your computer screen. But there's icons in the middle section here. There's one that looks like a clipboard with a little plus symbol on it, and when you hover over it, it does say add a new reference. So that's what we're going to do. And it opens up this window here. And then we're going to select what reference type we want to add to our EndNote library. So as you can see, there's a lot of different reference types. EndNote tries to cover everything. So we have bill, if you're working in government documents, we have book, we have ebooks, encyclopedias, grants, hearings, interviews, of course, journal articles, patents, podcasts, some other forms of social media, television episodes, thesis, unpublished work, which could be, like a gray paper or something like that. Web page, if you ever need to cite a web page. And if you don't find what type of reference type you need, you can just create one via these unused titles right here. But we are going to select book and then try and fill out as much of this identifying information as you can when you are creating your reference. So I'm just going to be very generic here. Say, our author's named Jane Smith. We're going to say our book is from 2012. And we're going to say lung cancer. Our book is titled Lung Cancer Example Book. And then, like I said, try and fill out as much of this information as you possibly can, because depending on what citation style you're using for your paper or project, you're going to need various types of identifying information, right? So some citation styles require you to state what pages from the book you got it from, or the article. Some require you to include the DOI, the digital object identifier. Sometimes they require what date you access that. So just try and be as specific as you can. And click save. And it won't automatically exit you out of it, but you'll exit out of that window. And there we go. It has created the reference for us, and it says book. So now we know. And it gives you a preview of what your citation information is. So as you can see, it's a little sparse on the right-hand side here. We only have author name, date, and book title. And it'll show you in the bottom right-hand corner what it would look like depending on what citation style you're using when you're making a citation. So JAMA stands for Journal of American Medical Association. It's the same as the American Medical Association citation style. Also have APA, which is pretty popular, but again, it lets you see what that citation would look like. So that's why you want to include as much information as you can when you're creating your own reference. Most of the ones you download, they'll include as much information as possible. Like, for instance, we have DOIs. It'll often include the information about the article. And you can edit these as well. So if you ever see an error, like that this article was published in 2016, you can make that edit. So just keep that in mind in case you hit something incorrectly. It's going to trust that you know best and not second guess you. So it's kind of like if you remember in elementary school when you were first, or whenever you were first learning about computers, how a lot of our computer teachers originally told us that you were smarter than the computer. The same style applies here. It's not going to correct it's not going to correct your mistakes. It's going to take whatever changes you make to it and run with it. And same with when you're doing your paper or your project, and the bibliography is written by the magic of EndNote. You still have to go through and make sure that all the citations are correct. It makes it easier for you because it writes it up, but if there is a wrong date or a period out of place, that's still on you to make sure that it's correct before you turn it in for a grade or try and publish or whatever your project is. But now that we have created our references, so we've imported our references and we've created references, now I'm just going to kind of do sort of the tips and tricks part of how to use EndNote. What are some of the better tools I think that EndNote provides for how to best use it for your research needs or your needs for writing for your project. So one of the really handy tools for EndNote is that you can add the full text, ask it to search for the full text for you. Because as these references in the list stand right now, they are just the citation information. They're just the metadata of the references. They don't include the full text or the PDF of the article or any scans of the book or anything like that. So what we're going to do to try and change that is we're going to select whichever references we want to find the full text for. I just did Control A on my keyboard to select all of our references, which you can do. And you're going to right click and do Find Full Text. So this is the tool that they have. And I'll explain why that window popped up in a minute. But right now, if you can see on the left-hand side here, this title popped up that said Find Full Text. So it's currently going through the whole list and searching, trying to find PDFs or URLs, the full text for us. And it lets you know as it's going through which ones it's found, which one it hasn't found. Of course, depending on how many you're asking it to find at once, it's going to take longer. So if you're asking it to find a list of 200, it could probably take 20, 30 minutes. So you'll probably want to, get up and do something else, give it some time. But since we're only asking it to find 10, it's only gonna take a couple of minutes here. And so now it's finished doing all the searching. It found 3 articles, found PDFs of 3 articles. So there we go. And you can tell which ones have the full text PDFs because they have a little paperclip by them. It found full text via URL for 4 of them, and then it didn't find anything for 3. So that's pretty common. It's not a foolproof system. There's no way to get it to set it up so that it finds all the articles in your list. But what you do want to do to make sure that it finds as many as possible, especially if you're not working on campus and you're not connected to the campus's Wi-Fi. Even if you're in the hospital, you still have to be connected to the campus's Wi-Fi via the off-campus login, which let me backtrack real quick. So for anyone who doesn't know, when you're working off campus, and that off campus does include U of L hospital, so you need to be connected to the campus's Wi-Fi. Otherwise, you will have to do off-campus login. So on accounts dropdown from the library's webpage, do off-campus login, and you'll do sign in with your Ulink login. So it's your username and password for your Ulink login. Click login. And again, this is verifying your access to the proxy, aka that you are a U of L member and that you have access to the resources that the libraries provide. You can also just do it through remote access here. If you forget, it helps you through those steps there. And going back to EndNote library. So I brought that up because you want to make sure you are logged in to the campus's Wi-Fi, even if you're at home, do off-campus login. And you'll want to do edit preferences. I think if you're using Mac, it's EndNote preferences. Again, same drop down right at the top there. So preferences, and you'll want to select Find Full Text. These are listed alphabetically. Preferences is the settings for EndNote. Again, they use a bit of a different terminology sometimes, but whenever I mention preferences, I may just go to the settings within EndNote. Of course, they're labeled as preferences. So what you want to do is you want to copy and paste the URL here from the library. And if you're working on the Belknap campus and you mostly use the Ekstrom library, you can copy and paste that one. That's fine. And you put it in the URL box here and you click OK. And so that way, every time you ask it to find full text, when you do right click, find full text, it will make sure that you're logged in via off-campus login before it starts searching. So that way it's finding more full text articles for you. So like I said, there's no way to make it 100%, so it finds all the articles for you, but that is definitely going to help. So make sure you do that before you're hitting find full text. Another really great tool that EndNote has, especially if you're doing a larger search and you're adding a lot of references to EndNote, is you can ask it to, under tools, sorry, I always forget this one, not tools, under library, ask it to find duplicates, because if you have two of the same article or two of the same reference, it's going to get very confusing when you're adding that citation into the paper, because if you are referencing one and you make changes to the other, it's not going to reflect that in your Word document later on. So you got to make sure that whatever citation you choose from your EndNote library, it's the same citation you're using in your Word document. And I'll try and explain that again when we get to the Word document part of the training. But best practice is go ahead and delete duplicates. So you can choose which one you keep. I'm just going to say keep the first one, and then it'll just put my duplicate in the trash folder. And as I said, nothing's really deleted until you go in and empty trash. So it does have that kind of safety net for you. But do go ahead and deduplicate before you start writing your paper. So that way you don't have duplicates of citations, because if you add the same citation in at a later time in the paper, it's going to see it as a completely separate reference if you choose the other citation. So that'll mess things up when it's writing the bibliography for you. And so as I was saying, so maybe the find full text feature didn't find all of the full text. Simple as that. So the 3 articles that did not find the full text for, what you want to do, because is you're going to go ahead and just find the full text yourself. So if you go back to the database and pull the PDF yourself, or you request it through Interlibrary Loan here at the library homepage, because please never go and pay the $35 fee or whatever ridiculous sum it is for a singular journal article. Just use Interlibrary Loan with us. That way you get the articles for free. And then you will just click over to PDF and attach PDF. So same simplicity as attaching a PDF or any other kind of document to an email or something like that, wherever you save that PDF from, whether you got it through Interlibrary Loan, a friend sent it to you, you got it from the database, wherever. You'll just find the PDF from your computer, click open, and then it'll attach itself. I don't think I have a PDF ready yet. But when you do have the PDFs attached, you will see it there. So you'll have to select PDF again on your right-hand side. And you can just have a nice little preview of it. So you have kind of 3 settings in the right-hand sidebar. You have the summary, which is, as I said, kind of the citation and metadata of whatever that reference is. You can then choose to edit that, and then you have PDF. So if you do have an attached PDF, you can also edit that. You will go to this little open this PDF in a separate window button at the very end. And I will enlarge this so we can see it a little better. And you have the option to make edits to the PDF. And this is more so in the way of adding notes to your PDF. So this little conversational bubble button, which is to the left-hand side here, it says, when you hover over it, it says markup/annotation. You click on that and it gives you a little editing bar at the top here, so you can add a little post-it note. So you can click on that and say, add comments, say, add this to paper later. You can also highlight things in your PDF. So let's say we're reading through and we're saying, hey, this sentence looks really good. You can highlight it. And there we go. It's in yellow now. You can underline things. You can strike through things. So you have different options. And then you'll click save, or if you don't click save and you still exit out of the window, it'll ask if you want to save. So I'm going to say yes. And so now when we're viewing the PDF in our little right-hand panel, we can see the edits that we did earlier. So you can see the little speech bubble, the yellow one, where if I click on that, it pops up with the note I left myself to add this to my paper later. And then you can also see the highlighted line that I did as well. So that's one of the beauties of EndNote, is that you have all your references along with the full text attached to them in one place. And it makes, you know, your research really easy because it's just within this one program here. This is the part when I get on my soapbox and say, when you download EndNote though, make sure you are downloading EndNote to your desktop or to another hard drive. Do not download EndNote to a cloud system or a network drive. That will corrupt the library, the EndNote library, and it won't happen immediately, but over time you will lose your references and your data, and it'll not even EndNote itself, the people who work for EndNote will be able to bring those things back if you don't save it properly. So what do I mean by that? If you're a little newer, is I mean, when you save the EndNote library, so when I created our May one, I'm going to open up my folders here. Sorry. There we go. I'm going to open up my documents folder, because that is where I save my EndNote libraries. So if I can just enlarge this for you a little bit, I think the text is going to remain the same length, the same size. So my May EndNote library, I'm going to pull that out and put it on my desktop here, along with, oh, I can't do that right now because I have the program open. I'm sorry. We're going to cancel that. But my point being, when I saved this library to my documents folder, it also created a .data folder. So it has the same title. It says May EndNote library. It just has .data at the end. And so these two files always go together. So if I do end up moving my EndNote library, say to another computer, or if I save it to a flash drive and I move it over there, make sure you're always moving these two together, the data folder and the EndNote library itself, because the data folder is what's holding your PDFs. So if you just move the library and you don't move the data folder with the library, you're going to lose all of your PDFs and it won't open them at all. You won't be able to see them through your EndNote library. And so, yeah, so like I said, just make sure you're saving it to an actual hard drive somewhere. It could be obviously your computer itself. Just make sure you're not saving it to any kind of cloud system or network drive. So don't save it to OneDrive, don't save it to Dropbox, don't save it to Cardbox, don't save it to Google Drive. Don't save it to, for libraries here, we have EndDrive and UDrive. I don't know where you all are working, if you have what kind of network drives yours are called, but do not save it to those places. Instead, how you back up your EndNote library, because I realize it's very risky to just have it on your computer in case your computer crashes one day, is we are going to go to my EndNote web. So you can Google this, but it literally is myendnoteweb.com as the URL. And what you're going to do is you're going to hit register. And you can just put in your email. It does not have to be your hospital or university email. It can be a Gmail account if you wish. But it's just whatever email you're going to remember. And then if you ever end up talking to the tech support hotline with EndNote, they're going to ask what your email is. So just remember whichever one you have saved with the EndNote program. Then you're going to create a password, re-enter the password. You don't even have to give your first and last name if you don't want to, and enter in the CAPTCHA to verify that you're not a robot. If you are a robot, I'm sorry, it's prejudiced against you, but I do not make the rules. And yes, so when you hit register, you create your login information. It's going to send you an email you'll have to click the email and say, yes, verify my account, and then you'll get to sign in here. Make sure you save your password somewhere because it's in no way affiliated with your hospital or university ID information. So when it comes time to update your password with your Ulink, your EndNote, my EndNote web is not going to change. So just make sure you save it somewhere. So we're going to click sign in. And as you can see, it's first time login. It's going to be blank like this. And you're going to see all your references here. When I log in with my, when I sync up my large library here, it will have all of my references backlogged on the My EndNote web. And that's important because that is how you're going to share a library or share a library group if you're working with multiple people on one library or a particular project. So we're going to do that part now. So don't forget, do sign up for My EndNote web. This is one, how you're going to back up all of your, that's how you're going to back up your library, so that way you don't lose anything if your computer crashes. And then two, if you want to ever share your library with someone or share a group within your library, you do have to sign up for this as well. So when you do sign up for this, make sure you go back to your preferences. So again, in Windows, it's preferences, edit preferences. In Mac, it's EndNote preferences. And you will go to sync and type in the same email and password that you gave for My EndNote web. And then you'll hit apply, and it'll start downloading it to your My EndNote web account, whatever references you have in that library that you hit apply with. So hit OK. And so that way it'll automatically, and that way you don't have to keep saving your EndNote library either. It'll just start syncing when you have it open. But going back to, and it will merge your libraries just as a heads up. So if you have synced your previous EndNote libraries to My EndNote web and you're working on a new one, when you hit sync, it's going to merge them all. Other references are going to start popping up in your library. So I know some people that don't do that because they don't like that. But you do run the risk of losing that data in case a crash happens. But now that we've done our backup, we can share EndNote libraries. So what you're going to want to do is go to File, Share. I believe in Macs, it's EndNote Share, I believe. There you go, Share. And then this little window will pop up that says just sharing at the top, and you will enter in the emails that you wish to send your, or the people you wish to send your EndNote library to. And you can offer them read and write permission, which means they can make any edits they want to the references in there, or read-only permission, which means they can only view the library and not make any edits. So do keep that in mind, because once you offer them read and write permission, they can start going in and making edits to the references. And it's not going to give you any kind of notification that said, you know, Jane Smith changed the date of this article. There will be a history. There will be a little icon that pops up once you share your library that lets you know the history of the changes that have been made, but you're not going to get a notification or an email or anything that says changes have been made if you're sharing your library. So do keep that in mind. And then you can share with up to 400 people, which I'm not sure why you would need to, but EndNote definitely gives you that option. And then you can also create groups within EndNote, which I did not mention before. Groups are essentially folders. You just right click, you do create group. Gonna do lung cancer. And then you just start dragging and dropping whatever references you want to put in there. And it's as simple as that. And let's say we want to share our group. Say, you just right click on which group you would like to share. You click share group, and the same looking window will pop up. You will know you're sharing a group though, because instead of saying just sharing, it'll say sharing group, name of group. If you open up a window that says sharing, you're sharing your whole library. If you have a window that says sharing group, obviously, you know, you're just sharing a singular group with people. And the same thing, enter in the name, the emails of the people you wish to share your library with, and offer them read and write, aka edit permission, or read only, aka viewing only permission. Something to keep in mind though, when you send an email to someone to share a library or a group with them, they already have to have EndNote downloaded on their end. You can't share a library with them if they don't already have the EndNote program. They won't be able to open the library and view anything. They already have to have EndNote downloaded on their end. Okay, I think we have gone over everything for how to best work within EndNote. So real quick, we are going to go over how to use EndNote in our Word document and how to write out the bibliography. As I exit out of everything here. So let's say we've got a paper due this week, and of course it's on lung cancer, because that's what we've been doing this whole time. So that's a great sentence. However, it needs a citation. There are one of two ways to add citations to a Word document. Sorry, just before I delve further, you don't have to use Microsoft Word. You can. That's the most popular one. I never really heard of anyone not using Microsoft Word, but there are other word processing programs that you can use. And if you need further information on that, just let me know. EndNote itself on their website has a list of what programs EndNote is compatible with their Cite While You Write feature. So that's another EndNote terminology. When you download EndNote for the first time, it's going to ask you to exit out of all Microsoft programs, because when you open Microsoft Word back up, you'll see this EndNote 20 tab at the end here. So you'll have all your previous tabs, you know, home, insert, design, layout, etc. And then at the end here, you will have EndNote 20 tab, or whatever your current EndNote program is that you're running off of. And so this is what we're going to be working out of when we add citations and ultimately the bibliography to our Word document. And EndNote calls it Cite While You Write feature. So when I say that, I just mean I'm working out of the word processing program. So back to adding our citation. There's one of two ways to do it. It's this big button over here, and you click the drop down, and you can do number one, insert citation. And that will pull up this window and a list of all the articles that you have in your EndNote library. And then you will narrow that down by, you know, you can type in author's name or the year or something in the title. You can be pretty generic about it. EndNote's pretty good about populating it with anything you try and put in the search bar. If you are working out of a shared library, you want to be on the drop-down group and you click shared group if you're working out of a shared group that someone sent you. So if you can't find the citation you're looking for, and you're working out of a shared group, keep in mind you have to switch that over. But we're going to say, hey, this is great, lung cancer. And so we're going to include this one. I don't like that one. We're going to do this one. So include, and ta-da, and this is in APA format. So here is our citation that we asked it to insert. And here is the start of our bibliography. So it doesn't look like much right now, but as you type your paper longer, this full citation will keep moving down the page because it is your bibliography. So the bibliography will always automatically be at the bottom as you keep typing your paper. So that was one way of inserting a citation. The other way to insert a citation is we select it in the library first, and then we click Insert Selected Citation. And that's kind of the way I usually do it, because I tend to always forget what the author's name is or even what the title of a article is. I just kind of know it on site. But either way, works perfectly well. And then you can also add multiple citations at once. So what you'll do is you can do insert citation or insert selected citation. And what you're going to do is just click on one that you want and then hold down the control button on your keyboard and select a different one. So that way you can select multiple articles or references at once and click insert. And that way, ta-da, it is multiple citations, and then added it all to the bibliography here at the bottom. And then the truly magic part of EndNote, well, the magic part is that it writes the bibliography for you, right? But another magical part of it is if you are, let's say you're trying to submit for publication to different journals, and each journal you're submitting to has a different citation style that they want you, or writing style that they want you to submit in. You can just go through and select a different style, and it changes it for you just like that, and to the correct formatting. So with APA style, as you notice, the bibliography, the correct way to do the bibliography is alphabetically by author's last name. In the American Medical Association style, which we just switched to, it's you put the bibliography in chronological order where the citations were in the paper. So it took care of that for us, and there we go. One of the things I will quickly point out, if you are using American Medical Association style, if you're a first-time user, it's not going to be automatically populated in this drop-down list here. I just have it from my previous settings. You're going to want to select another style. So when you do the drop-down, the very first one, there's over 500 different styles here. Last I've heard, there's over 3,000 different writing styles. So EndNote doesn't populate with all of them automatically. If there's one on this list that you need, EndNote does most likely have it available. You'll just have to go and Google EndNote, type in whatever the writing style is and EndNote, and then you'll have to download it from the EndNote website. But I point this out because they're listed alphabetically, and the American Medical Association style is, as you can kind of see, they title it as JAMA for some reason. They went the full Journal of American Medical Association, and it's the last one of the J's since it's completely abbreviated. You just hit OK, and then it will add it to your available list of drop-down styles. One other important thing to note when you're working within the Cite While You Write feature within EndNote, within the Word program, is anytime you do need to make edits. So let's say we're doing our paper APA style, and we've had an author that we've cited twice, and that's not the correct writing style. You'll need to, I think it's been a while since I've used APA style, but I think once you cite something twice, you just put in the author's name, and you don't include the year, or it might be the reverse. I don't know why people think librarians have this stuff memorized. We look it up every time. I don't know of anyone who doesn't, but my point being, whenever you need to make an edit to a reference, you want to click on Edit and Manage Citations here, that button, because if you go through and just try and use your keyboard to make edits, it's going to revert back to the way it was, or it's going to delete. Either way, EndNote does not like that. It's going to freak out a little, and it's going to end up in a format that you do not want. Excuse me. So you're going to select which one you need to edit, and you can do formatting here. Oh, sorry, for some reason it froze up a little. Okay, so back to where we were. So select which one you need to edit, and then you can just say, display as exclude author, exclude year, show only in bibliography. So same thing, if you want to have something in your bibliography but not have it as a citation in the paper, you still have to add it, insert it as a citation first, and then you have to select it. And then you have to go to edit and manage citations and click show only in bibliography. Because if you try and delete the citation from the paper, it will delete it from the bibliography as well. So keep that in mind. Don't try and do edits to the EndNote insertations without using edit and manage citations. And that is just about it. As last minute things, I know people, I've spouted a lot of information at you, so I don't expect you to retain it all. So if you ever are working on something and you need help, I am more than happy to help you. My name is Ansley Stewart again. And if you need credit for taking this training, do just go ahead and email me with whoever I need to email for you to say you attended. But to let you know, email is the best way to reach me. I'm not always in my office, so phone is a little harder for me to call you back sometimes because I tend to be in a lot of different buildings throughout the week. But this is me talking to you currently. Like I said, email's best. If they can't reach me, any of our librarians are happy to help you. Same with the Extreme campus, they can find someone to help you. If I'm not available, because it's after 5, and most of our librarians start early and usually are out of the office by 5, what I recommend is going to EndNote tech support. And I just Google. They do have a hotline you can call. So just the first one that comes up here, contact EndNote. And this is someone who works for EndNote that you can call up on the phone Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and just ask them whatever your EndNote question is. They've always been able to solve my questions because sometimes people come to me with a question that I don't have an answer to and I'm not able to find. So we'll call them together. But them saying, if you can't go hold of me or you just want to go straight to the tech support hotline, they're a great resource. Of course, they're not available on the weekends, but if you are trying to get that paper done at 11 p.m. on a Sunday night, which I know you would never ever do because it's due at midnight and you need help, my suggestion would be to look up some YouTube tutorials. There's a lot of really good tutorials about EndNote out there that other libraries provide, as well as EndNote itself provides tutorials. So yes, I will leave it there. And then I'll stay on for a little while if anyone has questions. But otherwise, thank you so much for attending. I really appreciate your time and patience. And please feel free to email me with any questions you have. I am recording this. It does take me a couple of days to upload it to YouTube. I don't send this recording out automatically because I don't like to spam people who have attended. But if you would like a copy of this recording of this training session, send me an email and I'll get it to you before the end of the week. But thank you for joining me and have a great rest of your day.
I have a question.
Yes.
How I missed the part about how do we make sure to have the school's URL so if we're off campus that we're still able to log in and it picks up on EndNote?
Yes, let me
I'm on a Mac, so I know it's under the preferences, but I didn't know where can I find a link at?
Yes. So I didn't show me copying the link. What you'll do is just copy, paste the library's URL right here. So I'm just going to copy it. I'm on the Kornhauser homepage here, and we go to EndNote. If you're on a Mac, it should be EndNote preferences. For Windows, it's edit preferences. And then you'll go to find full text here, and then you'll copy it right here, put it in the box that says URL. So just paste it there and hit apply. So that way, when you ask it to do the find full text feature, it knows to go through the university's proxy, and it'll get you more full text articles.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All the great information. Fine. Yes, this recording will be through YouTube. I'll have to send you the link. And it usually takes a little while to upload since, this was an hour-long session. So I will try and get it by Wednesday to people, but it should be before the end of the week. Again, if you want it though, do email me because I don't send it out in a mass email to everyone that attended. Yes, you're more than welcome. Yeah, I realize it's a lot of information, and really you start understanding a lot better when you start playing around with it. It's kind of hard to learn it when someone's just talking at you, but it will save you time in the end. So I'll hang on for probably about another 5 minutes in case anyone has questions. But thank you for attending otherwise.
Ansley, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go right ahead.
I got here just a few minutes late, and I'm just wondering if, as a U of L employee, I can just go to the EndNote on the web and download it without any issues.
So I will share again, the way we recommend doing so is starting off on the library homepage, go to services drop down, EndNote training, which is I think where a number of people signed up for this training. Our second tab in says download EndNote desktop. And if you need a refresher, we do have this little YouTube video also tells you how to download and install EndNote. But it'll be through U of L's web store here, which is just the IT web store. And along with any other softwares that are available to you through a U of L member, it'll be right here. It'll be second tab in again for EndNote, and you'll want to do EndNote 20 because that's the most current version.
Okay.
And then it'll just be like online shopping, except of course it'll be free for you. And then it'll ask you if you're downloading to a Windows or a Mac, so just choose accordingly.
Okay, great. Library homepage, services drop down, then I'll find this page and I can select EndNote 20.
Right, yes.
Okay, if I can't get that, the rest of the training won't help me at all. So thank you, I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Great training, thanks.